All right, so if you're wondering what's been happening for the past 7 days in the Northern Virginia real estate market, we're going to give you the exact details right now. My name is Sean Price. I am with the Price and Price Group here with eXp Realty, and this is our weekly market report where we go through our 7-day history of what's been happening in the market. And the difference between this market report and other market reports is that we're not looking at home sales data. We're looking at what's called leading data versus lagging data. Home sales data is lagging data, which means you're looking at history. We're looking at items that they are historical, they're only 7 days old, but they're the leading data. That's what's going to come into those future reports. So for example, we're not looking at closed transactions, we're actually looking at transactions that just went under contract. We're also looking at inventory that came on the market. So we're looking at the most current data that we can to try to determine what the best response is to the market in its current state and what may end up happening in the future. All right, so the general pulse of the market this week has been, I have certainly been feeling like we are certainly been experiencing that we have received a lot more buyer calls. We have a lot more buyers that are starting to come out of the woodwork that we're planning on buying in the fall, that are starting to kind of starting to act on that. So we are seeing more buyer activity, and we've seen some properties go into contract fairly quickly. And I think that the stats are going to show us that that's exactly what was happening. So basically, this past 7 days, the pulse of the market has matched what statistically we're going to see. So let's go straight into the stats, and let's see what we find. Okay, so if you look at the orange line, you can see that buyer activity was up 2% the last 7 days, and it was up a little bit the previous 7 days as well. So it's been a 2-week uptick. Not a significant amount, but overall in the market, it has been increasing. So the difference between what I've been experiencing with regards to the increased phone calls versus what we're seeing on the graph here is the number of phone calls that I've been receiving have actually been disproportionate to what we see on the graph here. But the reason for that is because the statistic that we're measuring for buyer activity is properties that have gone under contract, either active under contract or pending. Well, if inventory has decreased and there aren't any properties to go under contract, then buyer activity on that statistically can't go up because there's nothing to buy. So we're receiving a lot more buyer interest and a lot more buyer traffic, but there's still only a limited number of properties that they can buy. So therefore, there's only a limited amount of information that can show up on this graph. I hope this makes sense. So going back to this, buyer activity is up 2%. Look at what happened to inventory. It dropped 28%. Now, this could very well be because it's the first week of school. Everybody knows that the real estate market tends to slow down right around changes in school, whether school starting or school ending. So it could just be that this week not many sellers wanted to come on the market. We'll have to see what happens next week to see if this trend continues. So 28% decrease in inventory versus a 2% increase in buyer activity. So therefore we have a huge gap between buyer activity and inventory, which if we go over to our seller's market versus buyer's market, the orange line is a good neutral market, and you can see we've been kind of hovering there for the last several weeks. This week, because of this huge gap here, we shot into a strong seller's market. Again, this could be just because it's a fluctuation with school starting, or if you look back to last September, this uptick right here occurred September 13th of last year, and then you can see the market kind of started going up. Is this going to happen again this year? It's going to be interesting to see because it's a completely different market this year than it was last year. But this uptick, it could be what is happening here, or it could be that this is just an aberration because of this gap here. So we will certainly keep an eye on this. We will be putting out our new market report towards the end of this coming week, and then towards the end, and that will also contain the month-over-month information for August, because we will have had time to get those numbers in. So the next market report coming at the end of next week is going to be pretty important because it's going to show us not only what's happened in the past 7 days, it's going to show us if this trend is continuing, but it's also going to show us have the other trends that I went over in last month's month-over-month market report, have they continued? So we'll have a good overall idea of the market. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can email us, call us, DM us, however you want to find us, but we would be more than happy to answer any questions you have. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the subscribe button. We would really appreciate that. That helps us get the market report out to more people. And we will see you on next week's video. Have a great week.